I say we do Joe Heschmeyer first, man. That's a crazy freaking story.
It is.
So, Nikki,
let me bring up this video from Joe.
Joe's story is my worst nightmare. I would think losing a child would be hard, but not knowing where your child is would be. Yeah, it's oh my gosh.
Okay, so here's Joe, and this all came up because someone wanted to send Joe an email or something, and so Joe's talking how he's careful about that, and then that's what prompted this story here.
I have to be a little careful for reasons I won't get into about not just giving out. Well, I will say this. Yesterday, my daughter was almost kidnapped. She's 6, playing on the side of the house, and a man asked her if she'd get in the car with him and they could go get a toy. And fortunately, she's a very smart kid, and so she didn't say anything, and she just turned and ran, and got the 2-year-old, and they ran inside. And my mom, that was weird. My wife, her mom, was right inside with the 4-year-old. But just, stuff like that. I'm not paranoid, but I want to be a little bit cautious about not giving out
I would be insanely paranoid if that had happened to me.
Yeah, and that was on his live show yesterday. So that means that happened on like Tuesday.
So is he in Steubenville?
No, I think he's in like Kansas City area.
Dude, that is horrifying. Like, even to hear that is something that would shake you to your core. And you're looking at ring footage, and you're like going to your neighbors. Do you have ring footage? Do you have ring footage? Do you ever like getting the cops about somebody came and tried? Like, thank God his daughter grabbed her sibling and ran inside.
It really, I mean, you really do have to hammer that sort of stuff into your kids.
Man, dude, that would. Yeah, if you're talking about something like that happening, you never recover as a parent. Like, there's no, because we talked about this a little with Father Amato the other day while you were away, Rob, because I had just gone to a funeral before I spoke with him.
Yeah,
or right before I actually spoke to you. Like, I was dealing with mine and my wife's very close friend's father died out of nowhere. Like, they were hanging out in the kitchen. He goes, all right, I'm going to head up and go to bed. And he went up to bed and he collapsed and died. And they didn't even know for like an hour.
Ugh.
Like, he was just, they just thought he went to bed. And when they went up, he was just, there was nothing they could do. There was no CPR, nothing. But the point of the conversation was, my friend, my wife's friend Tina and her husband, like, they'll be devastated. Of course, she lost her father. But then time will go by, right? And then it'll be on his birthday, and then it'll be on the anniversary of his death, right. And then it'll be like certain moments where the grief will get to her.
And you're supposed to lose your father.
Yes, there's something natural about that order of losing your parent, right? So
even if it's ahead of when it should be, or even if it's unexpected, like, from when you're a young kid, you're going to lose your parents.
Yeah. So there's something very natural about that. And there's something so unnatural about losing a child, right? So if a child dies, like, I don't think a parent ever recovers. But worse than a child dying is a child being kidnapped, like a child
never finding them.
And you don't know what, your mind has to go to the most insane places where, oh my gosh, are they
like
still
that,
alive?
Like that FedEx driver in Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like, can you
those poor parents? Like, you never get it. Like, and they had to sit through the video of that, and
it makes me honestly nauseous.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. I don't know how your marriage survives that. I don't know how, like, because the wife first, like, as men, it's not that you get over it. It's that there's something in us that just tells you you have to move on, and you have to do what you need to do.
You compartmentalize it.
And you have to be the rock of your family, and you're trying to be stable in there and trying to keep your wife. A woman loses her mind, dude. Like, there's no possible way a woman comes back from that. Losing her child, or her child's kidnapped, and they never find them again.
Black All in the chat says, He said, I don't know if it's a he or she, but they say, I lost my 9-year-old daughter 5 years ago. Take how bad you think it is and multiply it by 1,000,000,000.
I can't imagine, man. A 5-year-old. Oh my gosh.
A 9-year-old.
No, even like, oh man. Yeah, 9-year-old 5 years ago. Like your child has their whole life ahead of them. What's his name? Well, Cameron Riker, obviously, but also
Cameron Riker, Ryan Grant.
Ryan Grant. No, what's his name? Lost his 15-year-old son. Scott Hahn's friend. What's his name? Works at the St. Paul Center. He's been on frat 100 times. Come on, guys, help me out here.
I'm not sure about him, but there was that it's gonna sound racist, but that Asian Catholic influencer.
Yeah.
Who lost his son too. John Bergsma?
John Bergsma, yeah. John Bergsma lost his 15-year-old son to brain cancer.
Oh, that's right. That was just recent too, yeah.
It was like right when Cameron Riker lost his kid.
All kids. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, 3 of them right there in the last 6 months.
It was it was like all these Catholics were losing their kids. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my goodness. It's like, thank God I have been spared suffering like that, man, because I just don't know.
Like reading about big Catholic families in the past, you read these families that have 9 kids, and almost every one of them has lost 2, 3 kids, to different things, and it's.
Yeah, I almost think back then, though. You're, especially because infant mortality was so high. Like I kind of think in some way, because it was so common. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's just us thinking we are, as moderns are better than they were back then. I think it was probably just as painful. I think they were just better at dealing with it. Better at understanding suffering, better at, I don't know.
Yeah, Black Owl, even sitting and listening to this conversation, right? Like, I'd imagine it's 5 years ago. You probably have some days that are, you're able to get on with life, and then just every once in a while, just probably just hits you like a brick wall. Especially a 9-year-old. Your 9-year-old, man, they're so freaking innocent at 9 still. It's not like I think parents who lose a child to drug overdose, it might be a little different, because I think you have this process where you feel like you lost your like you grieve your child while they're in drug use, and then you kind of come to a place where you're like, look, I'm telling you, dude, when my brother was going through it, I had accepted that I lost my brother, and I was just kind of waiting for that call, because he wasn't my brother anymore when that was happening.
Every day you were expecting to get that call.
Yeah, and I kind of prepared myself for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been like, oh my gosh, I lost my brother, but I had prepared myself for it. But now he's back to himself, and he's like my brother again. Like, he came to Fire Island with me Saturday, and we're close again, and I got my brother back. So in some ways, it was like he was raised from the dead.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one, man. Like my in some ways, my brother was raised from the dead.